A lot to talk about here. Let's bring our friend Tone in.
Big Sales, how we doing, sir?
Oh, doing great, brother. I appreciate
Awesome.
it, man.
Sounds good.
Where to start?
Well, let's start with the, you said you asked the group three things that what was it?
Yeah,
Three things
that have gone wrong with this football team the last 6 weeks.
Let's start there. I think that's a good baseline. What do you think?
Okay, let's do it.
All right. So for me, at least, number one, lack of effort and commitment. Number two, lack of innovation. And number three, poor decision making by the front office. And if you notice, each one of those things reflect a particular group within the organization. Effort and commitment, I point to the players. Innovation or lack thereof, I point to the coaches. Poor decision making and execution, I point to the front office. And for me, there's no reason why a team of this caliber with this level of talent goes into that Giants game, goes into that Cardinals game, goes into that Seahawks game, and don't have a sense of urgency. Notice how I didn't say the Niners or the Cowboys, because people get their ass up all the time. It happens. It happens. You came off a bad stretch with the Chiefs and the Bills. Okay, it happens. I was upset. I was upset in the moment, but I looked at it as, all right, you beat the Seahawks, you beat the Giants twice, you beat the Cardinals, you go into the playoffs with some kind of momentum.
49ers killed the Ravens killed the 49ers.
Right. Ravens killed the 49ers. The Bills killed the Cowboys, but you beat the Bills. People beat everybody. Everyone gets beat. It happens, right? Of course you don't want to see a team get beat like that, but it happens. It's a part of it's par for the course. Right?
So for you, Tone, that's really the best observation of the regular season. You're more worried about the team with the Cardinals and the Giants than you are with the Niners and the Cowboys.
Yes. Because now I will say this, just to make sure I put everything that I'm saying in proper context. Prior to the Seahawks matchup, when all we had to go off of were the Niners and the Cowboys game, I was looking at this team like, oh, they can't hang with neither of those teams. Neither of them. The further we got away from it, the more I began to say to myself, you know what? Bad time. Coming off the Bills game, 90-plus plays. Chiefs game, 75-plus plays. All the travel, all that kind. Okay, you got caught slipping. It was bound to happen. You still beat the Chiefs. You still beat the Bills. Those are some high quality victories. You beat the Cowboys once already, so you split. That was actually what I thought would happen in the first place. So the Cowboys loss didn't hurt me that much. The Niners one, it hurt because you weren't competitive. But again, it's par for the course. You always split with the Cowboys, so I can't kill you for that. You split with them. It is what it is. Things started to get real scary and sketchy for me. You lose to the Seahawks. Whoa, what the hell? You were controlling that game the entire time.
Then and did you give the wobbleness because of the coordinator change? And you kind of had, like with the Niner losses, you were like, well, there's injuries. Now here you have play calling duties that have changed, which could have wobbled it a little. So there's kind of you connect the dots a little bit there better with that.
The DC change created more questions. It's so crazy. The DC change added more questions or provided more questions than answers. You already had questions that you were dealing with for the defense in general. You already had questions. You added more questions with the change, right? And even at the time, I said to myself, okay, Desai has not been great. So in theory, I understand why you made the decision, but in execution and in how you handled it and the timing, piss poor. Because the word around town is they already had their mind pretty much made up during the bye week. So why not make the change then? But nonetheless, I digress. The bottom line is players, lack of effort. You have everything to play for. Cardinals, Giants. You can win the division still. You had the division in the palm of your hand. You handed it to the Cowboys. So you mean to tell me your coach can't motivate you enough to win your division? Now I'm looking at the coaches for lack of innovation and lack of ability to have the pulse of the team. Oh, Nick Sirianni, that's what you prided yourself on, being that emotional connector. Now that that's fleeting, like you said, love fleets. Winning is it's easy to get your point across when you're winning.
It sticks with
It's
you
a
forever.
passion. You know what I mean? Like it's easy to get your point across when your team is winning. But what happens when you're losing? Does your message still hold the same weight? And now we're finding out with Nick Sirianni in losing times, in wartime, his message doesn't have the same weight.
Tone. A coach like Sirianni, when you get to the pros, and a coach on a football Sunday is sitting with you, and he's talking to you about some sort of game plan. Hey, look, we're going to go out there and play hard. What do you think motivates a player more? That game plan, or when you see that $25,000 direct deposit going into your account on Tuesday? I don't need a fucking coach on Sunday to give me Newt Rockney speeches to motivate me.
Agreed. Yeah.
I mean, when
you know what's at stake, you know what's at stake. You shouldn't. It shouldn't be no conversation. It shouldn't be no conversation, in my opinion. That's how I know something's off here in this organization.
Let's do this right here real quick, Tone. The Niners lost 3 in a row, but came back with vengeance. What happened with the Eagles? What was the breaking point? They just couldn't rally back.
That's
a great one. And Laura, thank you,
Laura, for the donation. We really appreciate
Absolutely,
you.
Really great.
Thank you. You know, it's so funny she brings that up. And again, thank you, Laura.
Because that kind of goes what you're saying.
Yeah. And it goes perfectly in line with what I'm saying, right? You know, you have the Niners, perfect example, like she said, went on a 3-game losing streak. But we can kind of pinpoint where things kind of went awry. The injuries, right? You lost Trent Williams, Christian McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel, Brendan Ayuk, I think got hurt too. You had some injuries all across the board, right? On defense and on offense. And they found a way to rally back after a 3-game skid. This Eagles issue goes beyond 3 games. It's a 6-7 week skid. That's how you know. That's 33% of your season. It's 18 weeks in the NFL season. 6 weeks
in
a row.
This is a 6-week deal?
No, I don't. But what I'm saying is over the past 6 weeks, this has been rock bottom. And at the time, prior to the 6-week skid, they were 10-1, right? So you still said to yourself, okay, you're 10-1. At the very least, you put yourself in a position where you have grace to bounce back and work out some kinks, right? But here's the thing: when things hit rock bottom for them, they couldn't crawl out of it. That's where I think this team is lacking. Who is the person? Who is the leader in the locker room that can get this team out of this hole, right? Let me ask you this. I mean, have you ever been in a situation as a player where solutions are limited and you're looking for the answer, but you almost have nowhere left to turn? How do teams normally get out of pockets like the Niners did in the 3-game skid? Let's just stay there. How do you go through a 3-game losing streak? How do you get out of it?
Let me give you something that I experienced in the NFL in my first year. As I was talking to Gary Cobb yesterday, I was 32-1 in the regular season of my college. I lost 1 game in 33 games in the regular season. I go to the Bucs, and I get there, and these losses, all of a sudden, we were 4-2, and we got out to a really great start. Then we got beat in Green Bay. Then we got beat in Minnesota. Then we got beat in Detroit. Then we got beat in Los Angeles. Then we got beat, and all of a sudden you're like, holy shit.
It snowballs when you pass.
It's just snowballing. You're looking, and what happens is when you have and Tone, I think this has a lot to do with the Eagle problems of not being able to fight out of this. When you have homegrown guys that you draft that are in your building, that are together, like the Cowboys, back in the day with Jimmy and them guys. I know no salary cap. I get it. But when you have guys who were raised together, played together, versus guys who are 1 year hires, those guys are mercenaries.
Mm-hmm.
They're not there for you. They're there for them. They're there to try to get a better contract next year because most of them are on 1 year deals. Do you think, okay.
I don't think that part gets talked about enough. The fact that when you bring in more free agents, you're not really establishing a culture on whatever side of the ball that is.
There is no culture.
Right?
The defense has no culture.
You're hired guns. Here's the thing.
Those guys, you had the professionals you had last year versus the non-professionals you have this year is a microcosm of exactly what I started the show out with. You know, I don't need to go through 3 months of training camp with Adama Sue and Linville Joseph. Those guys with, and I heard you talking about Fletcher Cox, you gave him an A. And you're right to give him an A because for a guy that wasn't supposed to be asked to do, and by the way, the $10 million, that might be a steal. Okay. Yeah. I mean, that might be a steal.
I want him back next year.
Brought to the table to you.
I want him back. I need him 1 more year, Sills. I need Fletcher 1 more year.
Bro, I may give him $12 million. And so I'm going like this. Tone, I'm going to go back to this. Last year, that shit worked. But from what Howard Eskin's saying, and I went back and I double-checked it because I wanted to be right on this one, not the Goddard one. Howard Eskin is a sideline reporter for the Philadelphia Eagles and WIP, which is on the flagship. He's saying that Jordan Davis is being fined weekly because he's out of shape.
I asked Rob that. Rob said, listen, Eskin reported it, and Eskin is a sideline. He said everything you're saying. I was shocked. I was like, are you serious? Like I said, has that been proven? He said, listen, Eskin put it out there. He reported it. And so if
you can lose your job for that with the Eagles if that's not true.
And Howard Eskin, he's a Gatling gun. He does not.
He is, but you know what he didn't do? He didn't go overboard with it. He just said that, Jordan Davis, and he didn't put anyone's name to it, but he's the sideline reporter, which means during the in-game, Merrill Reese, Mike Quick, talk to him in-game while the game's going on the flagship station of the Philadelphia Eagles. So he's part of the broadcast team. And he's reporting that Jordan Davis is being fined weekly because he's fat is no excuse. This goes along the lines of what Javon Hargrave said, where they don't do enough work in the building. When you come to San Francisco, you work your ass off. I'm telling you, Tone, now I know why 10-1. 10-1, they were prepared to that point. They took the preseason, didn't play it. Last year it worked. Well, like I said, you had Hargrave, knew how to get himself ready for a professional season. You had Fletcher, knew how to get ready for a professional season.
You had TJ Edwards, he knew how to get ready.
Hassan Reddick knew how to get ready for a professional season. TJ Edwards knew how to get ready for a professional season. Kaiser White. You know what happened? You looked at Kaiser White and goes, he's replaceable. But you know what wasn't replaceable? His fucking professionalism.
Yep. You're right. You're right.
You don't have professionals on that side of the ball, and it's falling apart.
I don't know.
And get this, Jordan Davis is exactly what I felt. He's a product of the environment. It's a loser mentality on preparation. That football team is not prepared for a championship season this year by the coaching staff and the organization. As much as that worked last year with all the pros, this year with the non-pros in the building, it was a tsunami.
That begs the question, how valuable were the voices of these head coaches? Now, look, I will say this, though. Say what you want about, not you, but people, say what y'all want about Jonathan Gannon. Yeah, he did have more professionals on that side, but them dudes came ready to play every week. So
but they were pros.
And they were pros, right? And on the offensive side, Shane Steichen, pretty much the same group, had them guys ready to play.
You can have a one-year guy, and if I've got two look at what you had last year at the tackle position that you don't have this year.
You had pure veterans
How about this? Veterans. 10-year veteran Sue, 10-year veteran Linville, 10-year veteran Fletcher, 10-year veteran Javon Hargrave. You had 40 years of professional defensive tackles. 40+ years. This year, you got 10. One 10-year guy.
Yeah, you're one 10-year guy. Everyone else is like 3 years.
Everyone's in diapers.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, and Fletcher is outpacing all of them and snap count and all that. Like, so
I wonder why.
I was talking about this earlier, and I was saying to Rob, I said, look, man, if you know, if what you're saying is true about this Jordan Davis fine and every week thing with Howard, if this thing is true, we got some issues on our hands. Because
how about when they said this? Hey, there's
he's too talented.
There's certain guys in the building that are committed. Certain guys aren't. He's talking to him.
Now it's starting to make sense. Now it's all starting to make sense. Look, this team isn't ready for it. This team isn't winning the Super Bowl this year. No. Come on, man.
The Monday game is just the end of the season.
Like, I still haven't locked in my pick yet for this Sunday. I mean, for this Monday, but
good luck.
Yeah, I'll have it ready for you by Monday. I have the last witching hour. I'll have it ready for you.
Oh, how about this, Tone? April 12th, 1912 at 2:02. The Titanic hit the iceberg. Okay? As soon as that game is over on Monday, the Eagles will have hit the iceberg. And the thing will go down, and that'll put a cap on the 2023 Eagle season. In my opinion, I know now what's wrong with this thing. Hargrave said it.
There's a lack of accountability. There's a lack of accountability in
how about this? Let's make it simpler. They don't work hard enough.
Yeah. Yeah. Now I don't want to put that on everybody, but as a overall, the culture that's been created, they don't work hard enough.
But don't. Just because you work hard enough and you do your job, you're in a team.
Of course.
Yeah. You're in it with them. And if they don't work hard enough, you're going to go down with that.
Now, let me ask you this, right? When it comes to leading by example, I feel like this team has some guys that clearly it's shown in their production that they work hard. Why wouldn't something like that trickle down? And again, I'm asking you because you've been in locker rooms.
They're not allowed to talk.
What do you mean?
Oh, really?
I just want to know what you mean. I just want to know what you mean by that.
The Goddard had to walk that comment back and clarify this week about, the whole playoff thing. They throttled it down. Jalen Hurts had to walk it back that guys aren't accountable in the building. I had to correct that. Hassan Reddick, I had to correct that. A.J. Brown had to hold an informal press conference, sitting there and kind of clarify things. I mean, you know what's funny? I don't hear the coaches doing any of that shit. I hear the players walking it back because you know why? The players seemingly are more concerned about the feelings of the coaches' feelings than they are about the mentality of the locker room.
Results, yeah.
I don't give a shit whose feelings get hurt. This is about winning. Dude, if your feelings get hurt in the process of winning, I don't care.
Deal with it.
This isn't personal, son.
Yeah. I know. I'm a believer. And this is where maybe you and I are like, I'm a firm believer that every now and again, people deserve to be embarrassed. Every now and again, people deserve to get their feelings hurt.
Let me give you one.
I'm a firm believer in that.
Let me give you one. So we're in Los Angeles getting ready for the Rams. And I had started going downhill with this thing mentality. Ray Perkins stands up. He's talking to the team. I'm sitting there. I'm in the second row. And he looked at me and he goes, "Hey, Sileo, let me tell you something, son. I want to tell you one thing. Gave you all that money, drafted you as high as we did. We paid you like in front of everybody. Paid you like your buddy Jerome. Paid you like a first rounder. And you're giving me that shit effort? You ain't on scholarship anymore, son. You're not on scholarship. That's not what this is. You better get your shit together. You're going to play. And you better play your ass off. Because I'm watching you." And I'm like, I felt this big. And I sat there and I was like, God damn. That's why when I talk about Jordan Davis like this, son, please, I beg you. This is not coming from a place of hate. I'm just telling you, don't F it up. You'll regret it for the rest of your life.
I was
never get it back.
I was always taught, be concerned when people stop talking about you. That's when you need to be concerned. When people stop caring, people stop holding you accountable. When people just start expecting the least out of you, you know. And what you said, that story you just told, you know, from your past, with Tampa, that same mentality, just all of it from top to bottom, everything about that story holds true for anybody in any situation. You know, it doesn't matter what you've done, what you think you've done, who you think you are. At the end of the day, you are where your feet are, and wherever your feet are, you're supposed to produce.
But you got to hear it.
And you got to be able to hear it, and you got to be able to apply it.
You got to hear it. You got to hear it.
Yeah, and not everybody, here's the thing. Not everyone's, it's sad to say, not everyone responds to that type of criticism, right? I do. I respond well to getting my ass beat. You know what I'm saying? Like, I respond well to that. So
my aunt hates when I bring these stories up because
why though? Because they matter to me. They matter in the grand scheme of things, in my opinion. It's anecdotal evidence of what the NFL was like. This is not a daycare center.
Tone, how can a guy like me go back to my apartment? Kind of makes me emotional. And I'm kind of exposing myself here. I look out my window on Bayshore Boulevard. Hugh Culverhouse is 2 stories up, the owner of the Bucks. Got me this room. I don't want to do this anymore. I said that out loud. I don't want to do this anymore. And I called my grandfather. And my grandfather's never going to give me, stop feeling sorry for yourself. It's a mentally, it's more than you think. It's not about money. It's the pain you go through, the mental bullshit you go through, the injuries around you. It's not as easy as you think it is to dig yourself out of. And some go, Sileo, you're making, well, today would be $1 million a year. I get it. You're right. You're right. It's an opportunity in my life. It's the biggest opportunity loss that I've ever had. Once again, it's not because I didn't play in the NFL for 10 years. It's because I didn't allow myself to play in the NFL. I mean, do you understand that they ran a headline, "Depressed Sileo quits"? I quit. I quit. I wasn't fired. I wasn't cut. I quit. Jay Glazer saw that headline. Too bad you didn't have anyone to talk to. I go, talk to? Jay, I needed to have my ass kicked.
And now we're in this society today where everybody wants to be spoken to and coddled, and they want their back rubbed with a warm glass of milk. And me personally, I don't come from that kind of household, never have. Obviously it's not on a professional sports level, but just in general, when it came to accountability, producing, living up to the expectations that was set for me, but also the expectations that I set for myself. It's not something that you can just overlook and think you're just going to coast your way through it. You have to show up every single day. You got to commit yourself to the goal every single day. You know what I mean? And this team seems like they're at a point where they're listless, they're emotionless, and I don't know what I think. I personally believe they're dying a slow death this season.
Okay, here it is.
That's what I believe.
depressed Sileo skips workout.
Wow. Wow.
That's the headline in the Tampa Tribune.
And that's why you're so hard on a guy like Jordan Davis.
Correct. Look at that fucking embarrassing fucking headline.
See it right there. The proof's in the
pudding. So when I talk to people, people think that I talk like an all pro. No.
That's the thing, right? And, you know,
people misunderstand me, Tone.
Of course. And, you know, it's so funny. You brought up earlier, you know, how our relationship has bloomed to what it is now, right? You know, it's
very proud of that.
Likewise. You know, because to know you is to love you, my friend.
Did you even see Lord Brunson give me love yesterday on the
and LB, my man. Me and LB talk here and there. That's my guy. I got a lot of love for him, a lot of respect for him.
You know what I said back to him? Instead of giving him shit, I said this. I go, I respect your work and good luck to you. I'm pulling for you.
Yeah, and that's how it's supposed to be at the end of the day, right? You know, and that's the one thing about, you know, LB that I respect. He always give it up, you know, when it's necessary. So, you know, your storytelling, it matters. It rings true in this regard. At the end of the day, this Philadelphia Eagles team, they've lost something. You said something earlier. They've lost something between Buffalo week and Niners week and even beyond. They lost something. Whatever they had left was bled out on that Kelly Green jersey. Whatever they had left died there. And then the Niners, them getting beat the way they did, but like you said, the Niners found a wounded dog and put it out of its misery. And I don't think the Eagles have been able to recover from that. But you said, the Bills game is what did them in. That's what did them in.
Oh yeah, because that was their.
It took everything. It took everything.
That was their last stand.
Yeah. It took everything.
That was their last stand, and you know what? They haven't been able to get up since the fifth quarter versus Buffalo. Okay,
it took that was the last game we saw Jordan Davis with any kind of motor. You know, it took everything.
You guys over here better stop your shit because, you know, because I gave you a story doesn't. I like you guys hard as ever. Okay, so let's just keep it here. Remember. And LJ, I love you too, man. I appreciate it. But listen, man, I think I have to tell you guys where I come from because
Brian.
Kumbaya. There you go. Brian, now I feel better. But I think sometimes I have to tell you where I'm coming from because sometimes because of the way I speak, it sounds like I'm coming from a place of success. And my place of success in football, I had to piecemeal a 7-year pro career together in 4 leagues just to say that I was able to play 7 professional years. And get this, between being ill and all that other stuff and I'll say it, depression and my issues I had and being depressed, it was a battle for me. It was a mental straining, unbearable, mental, exhausting 30 years to get where I am now.
Let me say this to you real quick, Big Sills. 7 years playing pro ball on any level, because you're dealing with grown men. Say what you want about the level of talent, whatever it may be. Managing to piecemeal, in your own words, piecemeal a 7-year professional sports career is hard as hell. It's hard as fuck. Like, let's be honest.
I made $3 million in that prospect, so don't be that crazy.
You came from a championship program in Miami. You know what I mean? You know what success looks like. You see how high regard the country holds the Natty. You know, So
did you see how The Rock gave me love on the Fox show?
I saw that. I saw that was pretty cool. I saw that. That warmed my heart. But again, in my opinion, you did something a lot of people only could wish they could do. Right. So it's all about perspective.
No, and my aunt, there's a lot, because my aunt is my guardian and she's my godmother, and she's really been great my entire life. And, she was there through the whole entire time. She went to games, and she was up in Green Bay watching me play. She was in Minnesota watching me play. She was down in Tampa for my first game against Walter Payton and the Bucks, or in the Bears, and all that. And so she was there the whole time. And then in the World League, then in Canada, then in the Arena League, I had to put it all together like that. And finally, when I was in Canada, I did, I was 33 years old, and I just looked at it, and I looked at myself and I said, I'm done. And I wasn't in any way going to be cut. I had put 4 games in the Canadian League, albeit the Las Vegas Posse. And I just went to Ron Myers, and I wanted to finish my career with Ron Myers, because Ron Myers had the SMU program, and it had the death penalty back in the day. And I wanted to play for him, but the program went on probation and they canceled the program. Theoretically, that's how I got to Miami, or I would have went to SMU, because they were offering a ton of money. I mean, they were offering a ton of money, and I really loved what they were doing. I would have played with Dickerson, but I went, no, and then the whole thing, it worked out the best for me. Actually, first I was going to go to Oklahoma. Barry gave me a scholarship, and Barry let me out of it, and I went to Miami. So it worked out. But yeah, Tone, I battled, and I don't really talk about it a ton, but I battled a lot of depression when I was younger, and it really affected me. And, and then when you get into situations where it's not convenient, you have to be coached by a certain guy. Jimmy got the best out of me. He just totally got the best. I got hurt in Tampa. Then I got sick in Dallas. And it just was never meant to be. But when I see guys like Davis, or I see guys that don't live up to what they're capable of. And how about this? If Jordan Davis was in shape and he was just getting beat, to me, I would put him more in a category of being Brandon Graham. Let's give him a little more time. See, Brandon Graham was never going to be accused of not having the intangibles around him, that he was not going to be prepared for a regular season to play a game. He may get blocked.
He was a late bloomer.
Right. That's right. He may not show you right away the big splash plays, but there's something there. And you've got to have an insight if you're a coach to go, let's keep going with this. Let's keep going with this. And then the best thing that the Eagles ever did was allow Brandon Graham the space to grow. And they got a shot
because of an injury. Let's keep it in mind. Opportunity, man. Opportunity because of an injury. It forced them to keep him due to depth purposes, and he took advantage. And
he's going to get a green jacket.
Timing and opportunity, is everything, man.
No.
That's why I understand your point.
Oh no, Flexen. Oh no. Oh no. If anybody thinks that I am done with Jordan Davis, absolutely not. I'm going to ride that kid's ass even more, because there's greatness in him.
That first part of the season, those first 6, 7, 8 games,
you can't play like that. Show me that and not be that.
He was ferocious. The first, okay, let's just use the bye as the marker. Prior to the bye, he was ferocious. He was ferocious prior to the bye. He was doing everything, getting off the block, throwing guys to the ground, picking up double teams. Like, he was ferocious prior to the bye week. He hit a wall. So a guy like that, when you see that kind of athleticism, that kind of power, that kind of explosiveness at the position, when you've played that position and you know what it takes to play it, and you see a freak built like that, you're looking at him like, bro, what the hell are you doing?
Hey, like I told you yesterday, that looked like a rhino running down Josh. Josh Allen must have went, what the hell is that thing?
The Bills sideline was like, hey, my man, just stay down. Don't even try to get back up.
You see everybody part like it was like the like the Red Sea, man. Everyone's get out of the way of that dude, man. And listen, Tone, this Monday game, it's almost like you know when the wake is.
Yeah, that's kind of how it feels. I don't feel that energy. It don't feel right to me. Something about all of this just doesn't feel right to me. And I can't deny that.
I wonder what the owner has to feel with. And by the way, I think something else is not helping Nick.
Okay.
When you see guys like Pete Carroll and Bill Belichick and Mike Vrabel and Jim Harbaugh's name on the open market, and you got names floating around like that, and then you look at your bullshit and what's going on in your building. Hey, dude, general managers like to upgrade positions, don't they?
Not a good time to be on the hot seat.
No, because I would say this to you. Don't you think owners also want to upgrade coaches and GMs? You said something earlier, and I heard you on your show with Rob. It's not just the fact that there's 9 NFL head coaching jobs open. There's got to be 9 or 10 general managers jobs that's open.
That's a good point. I didn't go that far. That's a good point.
I've never seen 18 high-powered jobs that are open right now where you're not just talking about head coaching jobs.
We're talking about some legit organizations.
If you want to hire somebody and you want to bring a Belichick in, or you want to bring a Carroll in or a Vrabel, if you're a general manager who's not getting the job done, you may think you're safe. You may be gone. Todd Bowles, they're saying this in Tampa, and I happen to know the people in Tampa very well. Todd Bowles' job's not safe, even if he wins.
Think about how many jobs are available of organizations who won Super Bowls before. The Patriots, the Commanders, the Seahawks, the Buccaneers. It's so many, in my opinion. There's a handful of high caliber organizations who need coaches right now and GMs. And have you ever seen a job market this saturated with top tier coaching talent and jobs?
I've seen it open before with like a lot of openings, but nothing where you have instant game changing coaches.
Yes, and there's about 4 of them, right? It's about 4.
And 2 of the coaches will compromise getting the job because they're now in a new position going into a new room. Bill Belichick will want control, but he won't get it because they'll look at what's happened with the offense and they'll help him with the offensive side. By the way, I personally don't think it's got a lot to do with the offense. I think it's more to do with losing guys like Scott Pioli and guys like Nick Caserio and people like that, and having great general managers around them, like in their front offices. That could be also part of the reason why Howie has kind of walked back a little bit in some of the personnel decisions, losing Andrew Berry, losing Joe Douglas, losing the guy to Pittsburgh. There were a lot of front office people. Remember something here, Tone. It's not just the coaching coordinators that have been gone, but over the last 4 years, you've lost front office personnel that were part of that 17 Super Bowl that are now general managers somewhere else.
Yeah.
You've lost a lot of quality people that now have gone on to do other. Look at Andrew Berry's job. By the way, how do you feel about Andrew Berry now as general manager in Cleveland, even after the Deshaun Watson deal?
Yeah, they even lost Brett Veach. He was a former scout for the Eagles.
Think about that. So you lost a general manager to Kansas City. You've lost a general manager to Cleveland. You've lost a general manager to the Jets. You've lost a assistant general manager to the Steelers. This is all in the last 6 years. You lose people like that, and then you lose coordinators and Doug Peterson and Jim Schwartz and Frank Reich. Think about all that high-quality talent you had upstairs in the Eagle organization. And you're replacing them with Tone, that's not talked about enough. Last 6 years, listen to the names. They're all guys with head coaching or general manager jobs.
Right. You're right. You're right. Howie Roseman's kind of been left. He's been forced to see. This is the thing, man. When you're a successful organization,
been forced to have to clean it up himself.
Yeah. And whenever Howie Roseman has too much responsibility in that regard, not too many good things can't happen. If you really think about it, as a matter of fact, a lot of the moves this past offseason kind of seemed like makeshift or just trying to plug holes and just figure out, you make do with what you have.
Can I tell you what it
didn't seem like it didn't seem like the most calculated offseason. It felt like an offseason of just trying to limit damage.
Can I tell you what it looked like? It looked like a guy who's a general manager of a car lot doing this. Hey, make sure you move all of our top-end cars over here and our low-end cars over here. And make sure you put, let's put new tires on that one over there, even though, we're selling it for $1,500. Let's try to juice it up to make it look like $3,500. Let's try to do that here. And let's do this. It looks like a guy went out there and took a balance sheet and put the defense together with a balance sheet instead of with a personnel sheet. Last year was a personnel sheet. Doesn't it look like this year with a balance sheet? I don't want to spend money on backers. I don't want to bring CJ back. I'm going to give the corners because like you always say, premium positions, let's pay those guys. Bradbury's a disaster. Right. And I'm gonna fall on the sword for Howie with that.
Yeah, same. Because look, at the time, let's be honest,
I would have done it.
We all would have done it. And plus, who would have thought he would have been this bad? That's the part, right? It's like, what a fall from grace. You went from being top 2 in your position last year. Now you're at rock bottom in your position.
But it was the volume of pressure that he's this Tone. I still think he's the same guy. Laura, I see what you're saying. I got it. I'll tell you in a minute. I still think he's the same guy, Tone. But the difference is your front four is not getting home and you're not getting the pressure and you're dropping Hassan Reddick in coverage. Your backers aren't covering. And you're asking him to play man. That's exactly who he is. Mm-hmm. That's who he was when he got cut in New York.
Yeah. It was almost
Doesn't it look like Bradbury last year in New York this year?
I was literally about to say it mirrors that almost. He had that strong year with the Giants, and then the Giants didn't want to pay him anymore. And he ended up in Philly. He had a strong year with Philly, and now Philly is having buyer's remorse.
Well, then next year he's going to be an all-pro.
Hey, listen, by that logic, right?
Hey, well, he's every other year. You want to go there? Maybe next year he's going to be good. Well, next year they're going to have. Well, no, they'll still have a strong schedule because they're a playoff team.
So yeah, like this is an interesting question.
So what team do you think Jim Harbaugh would want to coach? Team he's got the most power.
Now, let's take it a step further. Which team or which organization do you believe puts him in position to have the most power?
So you're assuming he's gonna, or we're just going shits and giggles here, NFL?
Yeah, shits and giggles, NFL. He chooses one of those jobs available. Which one gives him the most latitude?
He's got a spectacular relationship with the Spanos family. As a matter of fact, when he coached the University of San Diego, I happen to know this because I know Jim well when he was at the University of San Diego and I was covering sports there with 1090. Mm-hmm. He wanted the San Diego State job, and the Spanos family went and fought for him. They didn't give it to him. They gave it to Brady Hoke. Then they gave it to somebody else. Then he went, okay. Then he gets the Stanford job. So he gets the Stanford job. Or he gets the Stanford job, and he takes that team from a perennial academic school to a Pac-12 power, going to Rose Bowls. They were 12-1 their last year. Then he gets the 49er job. And in that whole process, the dad has been friends with Dean Spanos and the Spanos kids.
Didn't the dad win the FCS championship? Then the dad went with Western Kentucky, right?
Dad's got a Division I AA national championship. The problem that you have, though, is that there's internal bickering between the Spanoses with the daughter and the brother, Dean, and they want to sell the team. And Dean doesn't want to sell the team. So I don't know if there's enough ownership stability. Now, the word is that something that Jay-Z and some other partner may want to be in line to buy? Like, who's the guy from the BET and the BET? What's his name?
Oh,
Johnson?
you're talking about
Johnson?
Oh my God.
Johnson, the guy who owns BET?
The guy who owns BET. I thought that was
No, you're thinking of the Weather Network. No, I'm talking BET.
No, I know you're talking about BET.
I think his name is Johnson. Him and Jay-Z and some folks coming together and putting some money together to buy the Chargers.
Robert L. Johnson.
Robert Johnson, that's it.
Robert Johnson, co-founder of BET.
He's got the money. And so that would be something to think about. But for Jim, see, man, that was handled with such class today. I like that New England job. And I don't know why people think that's a bad job.
I don't think it's a bad job. I'm telling you, that like just the whole narrative surrounding the Patriots with Bill Belichick, it's just been really negative.
But would you want to follow that? Yeah, but if you're Jim Harbaugh, you don't care.
Would you care?
No, if I was Jim Harbaugh and I just won a national championship and I had the success I had in the NFL, no. Because Jimmy Johnson, he replaced Tom Landry. Now, albeit Landry was 6-10.
Yeah, I don't know if I would care either. I mean, it's a job. You know what I mean? I came there to carve my own path.
Of them in the world.
Right. I wouldn't care. Like
that Atlanta job looks pretty. I think they have enough pieces. But if you're Belichick, do you want to go to a place, or if you're Harbaugh, or if you're Vrabel, do you want to go to a place, especially Carroll and Belichick? Do you want to go to a place where you're gonna have to get a quarterback? See, to me, if I'm Harbaugh, I'd want to go to that Charger job with that kid, Justin Herbert. Can you imagine Justin Herbert with a qualified offensive coach like Harbaugh? Look what he did with Kaepernick.
It'll be the first time he had a qualified coach since Shane Steichen.
Dude, look how good Kaepernick was.
Kaepernick was. People want to forget. People want to forget.
He was great.
Kaepernick was sharp under Harbaugh.
Dude, I thought he was. In my opinion, I disagree with anybody, and I don't care what anybody says. If you look at his last year, even when they were 1-10, that guy was trending for 2,800 yards, 26 touchdowns, 6 picks, and 900 yards rushing, and 8 touchdowns. I don't know anybody on the planet who wouldn't want that as their starting.
He didn't play the whole. It wouldn't have been. It didn't play the whole season either. So
yeah, well, because of the kneeling bullshit.
Right.
He didn't help himself either. But at the end of the day, anybody who says Kaepernick sucked is way out of line.
It's just not true.
It's just not true.
Yeah. Feel what you want about. Yeah. Say what you want about his off the field stuff, but as far as on the field, that man can play.
How about that playoff game where he had 250 and 2? He was Vince Young. Was it the Packer game or Atlantic game?
I think it was the Packer game. And then
250 in the air and 250 or 189 on the ground in Lambeau.
He was a freak. He was a freak. So that's why, like, I mean, of course, I know you have, your preference in how the position is played, right?
I like Allen.
Right. I know you have a preference on how the position is played, but sometimes, man, I look at a guy like, Josh Allen and the way they move around in the pocket, the scrambling, the improvisation, the Russell Wilsons, the Jalen Hurts, the way they move, the Lamar Jacksons. It's like, yeah, they're not traditional, but man, it's fun as hell to watch. They're not traditional, but man, they produce. It's
not fun to watch when you're not utilizing them right.
And now we're back to square one, right? Finally, Josh Allen's in a situation where I feel like they're not asking him to be Superman every damn day. Now Hurts is in a situation where I think they were asking him to kind of be Superman all year. And now I think they need, listen, every quarterback needs different things to be successful. And clearly coaching is one of those things Hurts needs a strong foundation in, right? Having somebody that is accountable and knows what they're doing. Soon as Shane Steichen left, all of a sudden you saw the writing on the wall.
By the way, Laura, I could see Jim Harbaugh having Colin Kaepernick as a starting or as a backup quarterback if he goes back to the NFL, because that's just who he is. Remember, Jim Harbaugh is a middle finger. He walks around with the middle finger.
He's a habitual line stepper.
It's kind of why I like him. Okay. I mean, he walks around with a middle finger. And I admire that. I'm sorry, Tone, but I'm drawn to guys like that.
I know. I see it. You got all giddy when you start talking about him. I know.
I like people who walk around with the middle finger up all the time and who go against the system.
And can back it up too.
And most importantly, now I'm going to end with this.
Mm-hmm.
Does it end Monday? I don't want you to do that because that's your prediction. How about this?
Yeah.
Does it get better Monday or worse for the organization?
It gets better. You want to know why?
Tell me.
Because we'll have clarity.
Okay.
We'll have clarity. And that's why things get better.
That's a great answer. That's a great answer, and it's a truthful answer, because here's the one thing that I'm going to agree with you, Douglas. I just can't sit there and ignore the last month and a half.
Just can't. It just can't.
I tell you, all of a sudden, there's just going to be like the 2022 Eagles.
Yeah.
Just
like I said, everything gets better, you guys, because we'll have clarity. Think about it. We'll have clarity. Regardless of the outcome, we'll have clarity.
Absolutely. Tone, great stuff, my friend.
My friend, I appreciate you. It's always great talking to you.
You got it. That is our good friend, Tone. Don't forget, start the new year off 2024 Hooter calendars. They're out. $100 in coupon. 9 of the girls of the Northeast Hooters are in there. There's $100 in coupons, like I said. Go to northeasthooters.com. That's northeasthooters.com. Hooters is your postseason football headquarters. How about this? $2 off every pitcher during the games this weekend and on Monday night. Great specials. Wing Wednesdays, 1983. Tuesdays, buy 10 wings, get 10 free. northeasthooters.com. That's northeasthooters.com. Jason Cole next. Hit the like button. Keep it here, National Football Show.